My name is Daniel Cruz. I'm just a kid from Quezon City, 17 years old, a high school senior, all basketball player, an ordinary boy. But on December 22nd, 2024, I saw something no one is ever ready for. I died. It wasn't supposed to be that kind of night. We had trained for months for the championship. The gym was full, lights, bright voices shouting. I was in the zone, focused. The scoreboard said we were behind by 2, and time was running out. I remember stealing the ball, running with everything I had, my lungs burning, my legs pounding, and then a sudden pressure in my chest. It wasn't just pain, it was like something was being ripped out of me. I collapsed, just dropped to the floor. No warning, no last breath. Silence, darkness. But not the kind of darkness you'd expect. This one felt alive. Like the moment before a thunderstorm. Heavy, still mysterious, then light. Not a spotlight, not from the gym ceiling, but a blinding, pure golden light. It wrapped around me. Soft, warm, strange. And suddenly I wasn't in my body anymore. I looked down and saw myself lying motionless on the court. Paramedics running, my coach screaming, my mother pushing through the crowd, her face frozen in terror, her voice breaking as she shouted my name. Daniel, but I felt no fear, no pain, just this peace. Unfamiliar, holy peace. The kind that doesn't come from the world. Then I heard footsteps, slow, steady, filled with power and love. I turned, and everything inside me shifted. There stood a man bathed in radiance. His eyes knew everything. His face looked like kindness itself. And yet there was something fierce behind it, like a lion hiding in calm waters. I knew who it was, without needing proof. It was Jesus. The Son of God, the King, the one they talked about at church, but I never really listened. Until now, his presence wasn't just seen, it was felt, like a vibration through the soul. And the moment our eyes met, all my secrets flashed before me. Every lie I'd told, every hidden thought, every failure. It all came back, but instead of judgment, I felt something I didn't deserve. Mercy, forgiveness.
Daniel, come, walk with me.
His voice, it wasn't just sound. It moved through me like music. It calmed every fear I didn't know I had. And I followed, not on feet, but like floating through clouds that shimmered like soft silk. Colors I'd never seen, scents I couldn't name. The place pulsed with life. I tried to speak, but my voice didn't come. Only tears.
You are between worlds now. Your body is still fighting, but your spirit has arrived at a holy place.
Then he paused, looked far beyond me, like he saw something coming from beyond the horizon.
The time is short. There are things you must see, and things you must tell.
I didn't understand. I only knew this was real. More real than anything I'd ever felt. And deep in that golden light, I felt it. A mystery, a warning, a message about the world we live in, a revelation about what comes next. Before everything happened, I was just a normal kid. There was nothing special about me. I lived in a modest house in Quezon City with my mom, my little sister Angela, and my grandma. My father, he left when I was 10. Never called, never looked back. But we survived, or at least my mom made sure we did. She worked long shifts at the local hospital, always tired, always worried, but she never let it show, not really. She'd come home, put on a smile, heat up leftover adobo, and ask me how school was, even if her feet were blistered and her eyes heavy. She was my hero, but I never told her that. I guess I thought I'd have time. Basketball was my escape. It was the one place where I didn't feel small or invisible. On the court, I wasn't the boy from the broken family or the student with average grades. I was Daniel Cruz, the point guard, the fighter, the leader. The court became my second home, and every dribble, every play felt like a chance to rewrite my story. I wasn't religious. Not really. My grandmother was the one who prayed. Every morning before sunrise, I'd hear her whispering Psalm 91 in the kitchen while making coffee. I used to roll my eyes at her Bible verses stuck on the refrigerator. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I didn't know what it meant. It just felt distant, like something for old people or priests. I believed in God, sure, but not in a personal way. I saw him like I saw the stars. Beautiful, unreachable, too far to care about a kid like me. Most nights, I played video games with my best friend, Joaquin. We'd stay up too late talking trash over headsets, joking about school and crushes and who would get drafted by PBA one day. Those moments, they felt endless, like the future would always wait for us. But deep down, I was tired. Tired of pretending I wasn't scared. Tired of watching my mom sacrifice everything. Tired of feeling like my life was stuck in survival mode. There were nights I'd lie in bed staring at the ceiling fan, spinning slowly above me, and wonder, is this all there is? School stress, pressure, pain. Does anyone even see me? I had dreams, simple ones. I wanted to make the varsity team. I wanted to get a scholarship, buy my mom a new pair of shoes, take Angela to a real amusement park. I wanted to be enough. I wanted to matter. That's what made the championship night so important. It wasn't just a game. It was my chance. The scouts were there. Coaches too. I had worked so hard. I skipped parties, skipped sleep, skipped being a teenager just to chase that dream. That moment, the final quarter, the roaring crowd, the ball in my hand, it felt like my whole life led to it. But I never finished the game. I never made the shot. Instead, I fell, and everything I knew was torn away in a single heartbeat. And now looking back, I wonder, how many kids are like me? How many walk around smiling while secretly drowning? How many pretend they're okay just to survive another day? How many chase dreams not because they're hopeful, but because they're desperate for something, anything, to give life meaning? I wasn't chosen because I was holy. I wasn't chosen because I was strong. I was chosen because I was broken. And somehow that was exactly what Jesus was looking for. The part that scares me the most is this. I could have died that night and never known him. I was seconds away from eternity. And I wasn't ready. I thought I had years. I thought faith was something I'd think about when I was older. But faith doesn't wait. Eternity doesn't schedule appointments. And the truth is, we are all only one breath away from standing before God. Now I know that. Now I understand why my grandma prayed so hard. Now I understand what it means to be seen. The moment I crossed that invisible threshold, time stopped. I didn't feel pain anymore. No pressure in my chest, no burning in my lungs, no fear. It was like all the noise of earth, every shout, every heartbeat, every siren, had been replaced by something I can only describe as eternity. At first, it was just light. Not blinding, not cold, but alive. The kind of light that doesn't just surround you, it knows you. It read me like a book page by page, with every secret laid bare. I felt exposed, yet completely embraced. And then I realized I wasn't alone. Footsteps. Soft, measured, holy. I turned, and there he was. No words in any language can capture what I saw. I could say, he looked like a man around 30, with hair that shimmered like the edge of a flame, and eyes that burned without hurting. But that doesn't explain it. He didn't just look at me. He saw me. Every wound, every doubt, every mistake. And still I felt no judgment, only love. Like a tidal wave that didn't drown me but pulled me into warmth. He spoke my name, gently, like he'd known it forever.
Daniel, follow me.
His voice was both thunder and whisper. It echoed in my soul and calmed every fear I didn't even know I had. I wanted to run to him, to collapse in his arms, to cry, to worship. But I couldn't move. I was frozen in awe. Then suddenly, We were walking, if you can call it walking. The ground beneath us was like glass and cloud all at once. I wasn't stepping, I was gliding, floating. Around us, colors danced, colors I'd never seen before, shades that don't exist on Earth. I whispered, "Am I dead?" He turned to me and smiled. And that smile shattered every wall inside me.
Your body is weak, but your spirit is alive. There are things you must see, Daniel, things you were born to witness.
A new world opened in front of me. It wasn't a place, it was like stepping into a realm where reality itself bent. There was no sun yet, everything glowed. No shadows yet, I could feel depth. I could see history, future, layers upon layers of existence happening at once. I don't know how, but I understood that this place existed beyond time. No clocks, no aging, just truth. Then he showed me a mountain, but it wasn't made of stone. It was made of light. And on it, we stood looking down at the earth, suspended like a blue jewel in space. But this wasn't a science lesson, this was spiritual. Jesus raised his hand, and suddenly the earth split open like a scroll, revealing windows into what he called the unfolding. In one window, I saw cities full of noise, people glued to screens, hearts racing, not from love, but anxiety. Families sitting together but not speaking, youth crying into pillows at night, churches arguing over politics instead of healing broken souls. I asked him, "What is all this?"
This is the condition of mankind, distracted, divided, deceived. You live in the noisiest generation in history, and yet most cannot hear me.
Another vision opened. I saw leaders, world leaders, signing deals in secret rooms, smiling for cameras but hiding knives behind their backs. And I felt sick, like I had swallowed poison. I turned to Jesus and asked, "Why show me this? I'm just a kid."
Because the world doesn't need more powerful people. It needs more surrendered ones.
I couldn't breathe. The weight of it crushed me. Who was I to carry any of this? Who was I to stand in this place? He reached for my hand.
Daniel, my strength is made perfect in your weakness. You are not here to explain me. You are here to reflect me.
In that moment, I began to cry. Not out of fear, not even out of confusion, but because I had never felt more loved. I didn't need to earn it. I didn't need to impress him. He just loved me. The broken boy, the doubter, the dreamer. He saw it all and still called me by name. And then he turned his gaze back to the earth and whispered words that chilled me to my core.
Time is short. What you're about to see will shake the nations. But do not fear, for even in the shaking, I remain the rock.
I didn't know what he meant, but I knew something was coming. Something that would not just touch one country, but ripple across the entire world. We hovered high above the earth, yet I could feel every heartbeat of humanity below. It was as if heaven had peeled back the veil between time and eternity, and I was being allowed to see what most would never believe. Jesus stood beside me, not as a statue or image, but as living light. And with every breath he took, creation responded. Mountains seemed to pause. Winds stilled. Even my soul held its breath. He extended his hand again, and another vision opened, this one wider, darker, more turbulent. I saw nations in turmoil, crowds in the streets, anger boiling like lava beneath the surface of society, protesters with signs, police with shields, fear thick in the air like smoke after a bomb blast. Then I saw it, Iran. Not the flags, not the names, but the pain, the confusion. Thousands gathered, some praying with desperate hope, others shouting with clenched fists and fire in their eyes. In the sky above them, I saw black clouds twisting like serpents, and from the distance, a missile sliced through the sky. It felt like watching the match fall toward dry earth, and then impact. A blast so loud I almost covered my ears, though I had no physical body. The earth trembled, the people screamed, cities went dark, and my spirit shivered. I wanted to look away, but Jesus did not.
This will happen, Daniel. Before the season ends, and many will say it is man's doing, but my hand allows it, not to destroy, but to awaken.
I looked at him confused. Awaken who?
My bride, my people, those who sleep, lulled by comfort and distraction. The shaking will break the silence.
Suddenly, the scene changed again. I saw President Trump, older than I remembered, sitting behind the desk, signing papers, speaking urgently to advisors. His face was tired, but determined. Golden threads of light extended from his fingers to maps, phones, and nations. I didn't understand it, but I could feel it. Every decision was rippling out like waves across time. Jesus watched with eyes full of deep knowledge.
He does not fully know what he fulfills, but my Father's plan uses even the unaware. His role will be pivotal, not because he is perfect, but because he is positioned.
My mind spun. None of this made sense in human logic, but in this place, it felt true. Then another figure appeared, a man in a high-tech facility, surrounded by machine satellites and electric vehicles. At first, I didn't recognize him, then it clicked, Elon Musk. He stood staring at a rocket, being prepared for launch. Behind him, teams worked without rest. On the walls were glowing screens, maps of space code running like rivers of light. And through it all, I saw golden threads just like the ones from Trump, connecting his technology to places I couldn't name. Villages in Africa, islands in the Pacific, war zones, underground churches. I turned to Jesus. Why him?
Because I can use any vessel, even one chasing stars, to carry my message. His inventions will become bridges, roads through the digital wilderness, where my voice will echo before the end.
I was stunned. Elon's satellites, his platforms, even his cars, somehow would help prepare the world for what's coming. I never imagined God could work through such modern things.
The enemy has built towers of control, but I will use those same towers to shine my light. Where they plan to silence, I will speak. Where they plan to control, I will set free.
Suddenly, all three windows, Iran, Trump, and Elon, merged into one massive vision. I saw Trump making a decision that would indirectly provoke Iran. I saw Iran responding with force that would shock the world. I saw Elon's technologies broadcasting truth in the middle of the chaos. And through it all, I saw the golden threads forming a massive pattern across the globe. It looked like a net of light covering the earth, catching souls, pulling them upward toward something unseen. And then came the sound, not music, but a low rumble, a trumpet. It wasn't heard by ears. It was felt by bones, by spirits.
The beginning of sorrows will come suddenly, like labor pains. But those who are watching, those who are listening, they will not be caught off guard.
The sky above earth began to crack open, light poured through, and I knew this was just the start. Not the end, but the beginning of the end. My chest burned with both fear and awe. What I saw was terrifying, yes, but also full of hope. Because even as war loomed, even as leaders made decisions in ignorance, God was orchestrating it all with precision.
Tell them, Daniel. Tell them I am not far. Tell them the shaking is not punishment, but preparation. Those who build on me will not fall when the storm comes.
I wanted to speak, to shout, to cry, but all I could do was whisper, "Yes, Lord, I'll tell them." He placed his hand over my heart, and it felt like fire and peace at once, and I knew this was real. The world below may never be the same, but God was not surprised, and neither should we be. The vision faded into light, and I felt my spirit begin to descend. It was gentle, like being lowered by invisible hands. But with every inch I felt more weight, more resistance. The closer I came to Earth, the more I remembered what it meant to hurt. Then I heard his voice again, not from a distance, but within me.
Daniel, you are going back. Not because you've earned it, not because your time was up, but because I need your voice.
I couldn't respond. I didn't want to leave, not after what I had seen, not after feeling the warmth of eternity. But I had no choice. And deep inside, I knew love sometimes sends us into the storm, not away from it. Suddenly, pain. A bolt of fire ripped through my chest. I gasped. Air returned like a crashing wave. My eyes shot open. I was back. Blinding lights above me. Muffled voices, my mom's cries. A paramedic saying, "He's back. He's actually back." I was in the hospital now. Machines beeping. Doctors rushing. My body felt foreign, like a suit I hadn't worn in years. My mother was sobbing, her face pressed against my hand. "Daniel, baby, you were gone. You were gone for over 20 minutes. Her voice trembled like glass about to shatter. Tears streamed down my face. Not from pain, but from the sudden loss of paradise. Everything around me felt heavy. No colors, no music, just noise. But something deep in my chest was still glowing. Like the golden seed Jesus had placed there was pulsing with life, even in this broken world. The doctors couldn't explain what happened. No heart damage, no oxygen loss, no brain trauma. They called me a miracle. But I knew better. I had touched eternity and returned with a mission. The first time I spoke about it was with my cousin Miguel. We were sitting on the porch under the stars. I told him everything, the court, the light, the mountain, Jesus, the visions. He stared at me, eyes wide. "You sure you didn't just dream that, bro?" I wanted to scream, but I stayed calm. I realized the burden wasn't just remembering. It was convincing, and convincing people would be harder than dying. Some laughed, some rolled their eyes, some accused me of seeking attention. Even people from church told me to stay quiet. "It's too heavy for a teenager," one man said. "You're scaring people," said another. But they didn't understand. Truth doesn't wait for comfort. It burns, it presses, it demands to be told. My school brought in counselors. They thought I was traumatized. But how do you explain trauma when what broke you also healed you? Then came the dreams. Every night, the same visions, missiles, meetings, global tension, Elon's rockets, Jesus' face, his words. And the more I dreamed, the more I knew I couldn't stay silent. But the worst part was the silence from others. Even believers turned away. I doubted myself. Was it real? Did I imagine it? Why me? I'm just a teenage boy from Quezon City. I'm not smart. I'm not holy. But that glow in my chest wouldn't leave. It stirred every time I prayed. It warmed when I told even a part of the story. It burned when someone truly listened. And then people did listen. My pastor, my grandmother, a girl at school whose dad had died. They didn't look at me like I was crazy. They looked like they had seen it too, in their own way. That's when I remembered what Jesus said.
Faith is not about certainty. It's about surrender. The ones who need proof may never believe, but the ones who feel me already know.
So I started writing journals, letters, videos. I didn't care if people mocked me. Every time I spoke, the seed inside me grew brighter. One night, staring at the ceiling, I whispered, "Lord, I'll do it. I'll speak, even if it costs me everything." A breeze brushed across my face, though the windows were closed. And I heard him again.
"You will not speak alone."
That's when I understood this wasn't just about surviving death. It was about carrying life through rejection, through darkness, to become a voice in a world that's forgetting how to listen. I didn't know what would happen the first time I shared my story in public. It was a youth group at the local church. The pastor was a young man who, after hearing my testimony in private, believed every word I said. That night, I stood on a small stage with shaking hands and a heart pounding in my chest. I didn't have a script, no slideshow, no fancy presentation, just vivid memories burning inside me. And one divine assignment placed in my spirit: tell the truth. I started with the fall, with the light, with the voice, with the visions I saw about the world and what was to come. I didn't shout, I didn't try to preach, I just told it as it happened. like a kid who had once walked hand in hand with the one before whom all creation bows. When I spoke of the golden threads linking President Trump, Elon Musk, and Iran into one divine symphony, the room went silent. Teenagers who normally joked around sat frozen, some of them in tears. After that night, messages began pouring in. Not praise, not compliments, but whispers from broken hearts. A girl wrote, "I was going to end my life last week. But after hearing you, I believe I still have a reason to live." An elderly man messaged, "I've never prayed sincerely in my life. Until last night. I don't fully understand it, but I believe Jesus is coming." A ninth grade boy asked, "Can I carry a golden seed too?" I realized then, I'm not the one who convinces people. I'm just the sower. It's not up to me who believes or not. But my words, like small stones tossed into a lake, began to send out ripples. Some ripples faded quickly, but others reached the distant shores. I started getting invited to speak at more places, sometimes in school auditoriums, sometimes in live streams with thousands watching, and sometimes in humble old churches with only 10 people, but overflowing with the Spirit of God. Of course, I faced skepticism. Some accused me of faking it, others claimed I was exploiting politics to get attention, a few even called me dangerous. But I held on to what Jesus had whispered to me,
"Do not seek approval from men. Seek confirmation from me."
and He confirmed it by keeping the fire in me alive. Every time I felt tired, He sent someone in need of hearing. Every time I went quiet, in fear, He shook me awake with a dream, or the tears of a stranger. Slowly, I saw real change around me. Some classmates started weekly prayer gatherings at school. A teacher, who had always declared himself an atheist, began asking me about God after class. An elderly woman in our neighborhood who hadn't been to church in 30 years showed up to our small group and wept through worship. This wasn't some flashy miracle. It was a slow, sacred awakening, one heart at a time. And I realized I wasn't alone. Others around the world were waking up too. I heard of children in other countries having prophetic dreams. I read testimony of people who had clinically died and returned with the same message I had. Time is running out, but there is still hope. And then I understood the visions weren't just warnings, they were preparations. Preparing a generation that will hear God's voice amidst digital chaos. Preparing a church not defined by stage lights, but by surrendered hearts. Preparing for a revival not built by man, but ignited by the Spirit of the living God.
I don't need the crowd. I need the few who will hear, who will believe, who will live with courage.
I started living more honestly. No more pretending. No more filtering my faith to avoid offense. I no longer apologize for believing. I no longer hide when people mock me. I know now, war is coming, division is coming, pain is coming, but so is His return. And when He returns, I want Him to look at me and say,
"You were faithful with little. Now I will entrust you with more."
It was 3 months after my return when the final vision came. I had been speaking across cities, sharing what I had seen. But that night, everything felt different. I couldn't sleep. A strange quiet filled the air like something invisible had paused the world. At exactly 3:33 a.m., I was jolted awake by a whisper in my spirit. Not words, but a pull. I got on my knees and prayed, "Lord, I'm listening." Suddenly, I was no longer in my bedroom. I was somewhere else, floating high above the earth again. But this time, the sky was blood red. The moon had turned dark, like a burnt-out ember, and the stars pulsed like they were alive, trembling. Beneath me, nations rose and fell in seconds. Cities collapsed. Fires burst in places I didn't recognize. I heard the cries of children. I saw governments arguing, borders vanishing, the world spiraling not into chaos, but into decision. And then Silence. A deep silence so total it pressed against my chest. And then he came, Jesus, but not like before. No longer gentle robes and the shepherd's touch. This time he stood as a king. Eyes like lightning, feet on fire, a robe dipped in light, and a crown not made of gold but of glory.
Daniel, this is the time beyond time. Few will understand what they see. Even fewer will believe. But you must speak.
Speak what, Lord? I asked, trembling. They already call me crazy. He stepped closer, and all of heaven seemed to hold its breath.
Tell them, the storm is not the end. It is the beginning.
I looked around and saw a clock hanging in the sky. Its hands were spinning wildly faster than any timepiece I'd ever seen. But then, suddenly it stopped, exactly at midnight. Thunder cracked. The earth beneath began to split, and out of it rose two groups, one filled with light, the other swallowed in shadow.
The hour is coming when many will choose safety over truth, when comfort will become the new God, and when my name will be outlawed, not in law books but in hearts.
I wanted to weep. My soul groaned with understanding. He showed me churches turning into concert halls, pulpits becoming platforms for pride, and truth twisted until even believers couldn't recognize it. I saw a great deception fall upon the youth. False light, false prophets, false promises delivered through glowing screens and perfect smiles. But then, he showed me the remnant, a small group of people kneeling on dirt floors, worshipping not in grand cathedrals but in whispers behind closed doors. I saw teenagers holding Bibles with pages torn from overuse, crying not for miracles but for mercy. I saw mothers anointing their homes with oil, not out of tradition but out of desperation. I saw men laying down their pride and picking up the cross. And I saw a fire, wholly unquenchable, rising from the unseen corners of the world.
These are my warriors. These are my bride. These are the ones the world will not see until I return.
His voice softened then, and he reached into the light and pulled something out, another golden seed. He placed it in my hand.
This is your second portion, not for survival, but for awakening. When fear spreads, release this. When doubt consumes, speak this. When the earth trembles, remember this: I am the cornerstone that will not be shaken.
And suddenly I understood. The visions weren't about doom, they were about preparation. The fire, the chaos, the collapse, they were labor pains, birth pangs, and what would be born was a new world not built by human hands but by divine purpose. He looked at me one last time.
Daniel, the message is not mine alone. I've placed it in many hearts. You will not carry it alone, but you must be faithful with your part. And always remember, hope is not a feeling, it is a weapon. Use it.
Then the vision faded. I was back in my room. My knees hurt, tears soaked the floor, but my heart burned, not with fear, but with purpose. I knew from that moment forward I would never be the same. And more importantly, I could never stay silent again. The final message I received wasn't about the timing of the end. It was about the position of our hearts before it comes. It was a call not to hide, but to shine. Not to argue, but to kneel. Not to escape the world, but to awaken within it. And fight with truth, love, and faith. Because the end is not the end. It's the beginning of everything we were created for. And when that trumpet sounds, when the sky splits open and the King returns, may he find us faithful. Friend, if you've stayed with me through this entire testimony, I want to thank you. Not because this was my story, because in truth it isn't. It's God's story. I was just the messenger, and now maybe you are too. You've heard about the death I wasn't supposed to return from. You've walked with me through a vision of a world teetering on the edge. Nations trembling, leaders moving like chess pieces, and technology paving the way for something far greater than we understand. But above all, you've heard the voice of Jesus.
Hope is not a feeling, it is a weapon. Use it.
That line changed my life, and it might change yours too. Because the truth is, what's coming isn't just war, collapse, or fear. It's decision, it's awakening, it's a test of where we stand, and who we belong to. In the middle of all the noise, Jesus is whispering your name. You don't need to die to find out what matters. You don't need to see visions to believe the truth. You just need to pause, listen, and respond. So I ask you now, wherever you are, on your phone, in your room, on a train, in a moment of silence, or scrolling late at night, will you take a step? Will you be part of the remnant? Will you prepare your heart not out of fear but out of faith? Will you carry that golden seed of hope into your own life, your family, your nation? Because that's what this is really about. Not prophecy for prophecy's sake, but a deeper call to wake up, to rise, to take your place in the story God is writing right now. If this story touched you, challenged you, or stirred something inside you, please don't let it stop here. Click that subscribe button. Leave a comment. Share your thoughts, your prayers, your questions. Hit the like button. It helps this message reach someone else who might desperately need it tonight. And most of all, share this video with someone who feels like hope is slipping away. We are building more than a channel here. We're building a movement, a community of people who believe that faith still matters, that Jesus still speaks, and that the end isn't something to fear, but something to prepare for with boldness, love, and joy. So from my heart to yours, thank you for being part of this. Until next time, stay awake, stay in faith, and remember the time is short, but there is still time.